I really, for a long time, believed that this was the Anaheim Ducks, that they were going to reassert themselves in the Western Conference, and that they were going to, they played so well for so long. I'd written a piece early on about Troy Terry and his breakout season, and man, they cannot find their way. And Pat Verbeek, the new GM there, we're now inside 2 weeks to the trade deadline. He's got a lot of moving pieces to try and figure out. And I know, in the reporting on Daily Faceoff, he's really he's open to listening a lot. There's Josh Manson, Hampus Lindholm on the back end, Ricard Raquel up front. All three of those are important players, but all on expiring contracts. Pat Verbeek can't have those guys walk away in the offseason as UFAs. So he's got some difficult decisions and some work to do over the next 2 weeks. The Ducks really seem to have disappeared beneath the surface.
It's been rough lately, and I didn't think I'd be concerned about them. I thought, if anything, the Ducks would stay in contention this season because they played so well early, and I felt like their young talent wasn't the only thing carrying them. It was kind of pushing along everybody else. And last night it just didn't look like they had it. And it's tough not having Ryan Getzlaf in the lineup. You're missing a huge ingredient there. But like Troy Terry had a tough night. You noticed him a ton. You noticed him offensively. Like, he had some great looks at the net, but he was also -4. So the defensive side of things for the Ducks just wasn't there. The detail wasn't there. They hit, but it didn't feel like they hit with a purpose, right? Like, the hits weren't generating the turnovers on the puck that you needed. It was more like they were chasing the game against Chicago. And I look at that young talent and think, man, like, it's there. You watch Zegras with the puck. Holy cow, But I am concerned about John Gibson. I can't help but think that he has not updated his game, Scott. Like, as an old goalie, it's hard for me to look at what he does in the net and not think that teams haven't figured this out. He ends up in the splits. He ends up outside of his posts. And it was 5-0 before they knew it last night. And so, this is not all at the feet of John Gibson, but I'm just concerned there. I'm not sure that that's seen the growth necessary to compete with this. And I think for Pat Verbeek, man, you really have a lot to think about now. Like, Lindholm, by all means, would be a great pickup at deadline. Like, teams need defensemen. He would be right there in my eyes with a Chychrun, who it was a different dynamic because of his contract status, right? But like Lindholm, Sherratt, like, boy, if I'm a team trading for Hampus Lindholm, I'm thinking like trade sign, like that's what I would want to do to keep him around. If you could, I would not want him as strictly a rental. I would want to keep that player. And up front, even like, what can you get for Raquel? He's kind of been an enigma sometimes, hot, cold. Like, I think it's turned from the Ducks being pretty set to now them being sellers straight up. Yeah. And that's kind of surprising and frustrating because, man, I thought they were right there. And I believe in Dallas Drake, I think he's done a good job, but they were not good last night, Scott. Yeah. And Chicago looked energized. They were fun to watch.
You go back to the first half of the season or third or whatever it is. And I like Dallas Eakins as the, a potential Jack Adams guy. And I'm a big fan of Dallas. He's such an interesting guy. And, there have been so many changes with the Ducks and with Bob Murray leaving abruptly. But you're right. And the John Gibson thing is interesting because he's locked up long term. So I don't know. It's going to be fascinating.